What if the map of power wasn't drawn by borders, but by data centers, compute capacity, cloud platforms, and invisible networks that cross continents without passports? In 2026, we are not living in a world ruled solely by nations. We are living in a world ruled by infrastructure, digital, algorithmic, infrastructural, where lines on a map matter less than lines of code, where data flows more powerfully than oil ever did. AI is spreading faster than electricity or the internet ever did. Within just a few years, more than 1.2 billion people began using AI tools globally. Yet billions remain excluded due to infrastructure and power gaps. Today's documentary asks a seemingly simple question: who really controls power in the 21st century? Is it countries? Or the invisible networks running on cloud servers, compute clusters, and algorithmic intelligence? Before the answers unfold, ask yourself, are you prepared to see the world not as a map, but as a system? When we talk about power in the modern world, most people think of borders, presidents, parliaments, and armies. But the true architecture of global power in 2026 looks very different, and much less visible. It is not defined by flags. It is defined by systems, computer systems, cloud infrastructure, data networks, and the platforms that control them. In the 21st century, the most influential powers aren't always nations, but platforms and infrastructure hubs that operate above and beyond geographic borders. To understand this new map of power, we must look at three domains: 1. Cloud infrastructure; 2. Data and AI compute platforms; 3. Supply chains of connectivity and attention. Let's begin with the backbone of this new world, the cloud. Cloud infrastructure, the invisible kingdom. Cloud computing powers nearly every digital interaction in the world today. From streaming video to banking transactions, from corporate AI models to national intelligence systems. In 2025 alone, global cloud infrastructure spending hit over $100 billion in a single quarter, marking explosive growth as enterprises transition AI from experimentation to full production. Even more striking, the top 3 cloud providers now capture approximately 63 to 66% of enterprise cloud infrastructure spending, effectively controlling the digital backbone that so much modern life depends on. Here's how that dominance breaks down. Amazon Web Services, AWS, holds roughly 29 to 32% of global cloud market share, consistently leading in revenue and capacity. Microsoft Azure controls about 20 to 22%, and its cloud growth is heavily tied to its enterprise integration and AI services. Google Cloud now sits around 13% of the market, still smaller but rapidly growing as AI workloads become essential to its revenue structure. Together, these 3 giants manage roughly 2/3 of all cloud infrastructure spending, shaping how data is stored, processed, and delivered around the world. This is no minor statistic, this is power. Because who controls data infrastructure controls the flow of information, intelligence, and even economic activity. Cloud AI growth, the engine of influence. The cloud is not static infrastructure. It is a rapidly expanding power grid for the digital age. Cloud spending isn't slowing, it's accelerating. In Q3 2025 alone, annual cloud infrastructure spending exceeded $106.9 billion, a nearly 28% year-over-year increase. AI workloads are driving this growth. Traditional workloads now share space with massive compute demands, from generative AI models, real-time analytics, and large language models that reshape how enterprises operate. This isn't optional technology anymore. It has become the core engine powering global business, government systems, and cross-national data flow. And it's worth emphasizing this. The companies we just mentioned, AWS, Azure, and Google, aren't just service providers. They are the platforms on which modern society runs. Their decisions influence which applications scale, which governments adopt which standards, who gets access to the best computing resources, how data flows across jurisdictions. In 2025, cloud growth was so rapid that even Microsoft Azure's total AI revenue jumped by over 30%, with AI accounting for more than 48% of its cloud growth. That means Enterprise AI adoption is reshaping the market faster than most predicted. Why borders no longer tell the full story. If nation-states were the only centers of power, the world map would be simple: borders, capitals, flags. But modern power is more distributed and more invisible than ever. When a company like AWS can dictate the infrastructure backbone for millions of businesses, governments, and services. When Microsoft's AI cloud strategies determine which enterprises can scale, that's not just technology, it's systemic influence. AI and cloud platforms don't recognize borders the same way geopolitics does. A startup in Nairobi can compete with a tech hub in Silicon Valley, provided they both have access to the same cloud infrastructure and AI tools. But it's not equal. Higher-income nations, and the corporate platforms rooted there, still hold disproportionate influence. According to recent adoption data, AI is expanding faster than electricity or the internet did, but billions remain excluded due to lack of infrastructure, power reliability, and digital literacy. That creates a striking reality. Power isn't just geographic anymore. It's infrastructural, it's economic, it's digital, and it belongs, almost entirely, to platforms, not borders. Cloud giants, the real superpowers. The foundation of modern AI power is simple: compute and data. Cloud infrastructure houses the servers, GPUs, and bandwidth that make AI possible. In Q3 2025, global cloud infrastructure spending hit over $106.9 billion, growing nearly 28% year-over-year, a figure that reflects AI's central role in enterprise tech. But the world's compute power is no longer evenly distributed. The Big Three, Amazon Web Services, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, together control roughly 62 to 66% of global cloud infrastructure capacity. Breakdown: AWS 30%, Microsoft Azure 20%, Google Cloud 13%. This combined control gives a handful of corporations influence over the digital backbone of enterprises, governments, and even national infrastructure. This is not a boutique advantage. This is systemic influence. These platforms determine not just who can run AI, but how fast, how securely, and at what cost. They aren't countries. Yet they influence economies, strategic autonomy, and global competitiveness. How developed regions dominate adoption. AI adoption isn't uniform around the world. In 2025, global adoption of generative AI tools reached 16.3% of the world's population, meaning roughly 1 in 6 people were using AI to learn, work, or solve problems. But the distribution was stark in the global north. Adoption among working-age populations reached about 24.7%. In the global south, it was only 14.1%, widening the divide between those with digital access and those without. This gap emerges from resource asymmetry. Small blue diamond developed regions built infrastructure decades ago: broadband, data centers, power grids. Small blue diamond developing regions still struggle with basic connectivity, let alone AI platforms. Anthropic's economic analysis also confirms that wealthier countries such as Israel, Singapore, Canada, and parts of Europe have dramatically higher per capita AI usage than emerging economies, reflecting a deep connection between wealth and AI adoption. So the invisible power map isn't just cloud capacity, it's access. Access to education, stable internet, data centers, compute credit, and enterprise contracts. Ask yourself, does your country control the tools? Or are you dependent on someone else's infrastructure? Who controls the compute? Data centers are the new fortresses. By 2026, cloud and AI infrastructure isn't just about storage. It's about compute-intensive workloads, the engines that train and run massive language models and enterprise AI systems. Studies show that companies like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud capture roughly 63% of global cloud capacity, and this concentration translates into power. But it goes deeper. A significant share of global AI training capacity, roughly 80%, is concentrated in the United States and China due to capital availability, large data centers, and ecosystem advantages. This means That models trained on vast datasets, refined by massive compute, and then deployed everywhere reflect not just technical advantage, but geopolitical and economic influence. Data flows where infrastructure flows, and infrastructure flows where capital flows. This is not accidental, it's structural. Developing countries, a technology gap. AI adoption in developing regions isn't absent, it's uneven. Middle-income countries like Brazil, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam generate over 40% of global AI traffic on major platforms, signaling emerging momentum. Yet at the same time, 87% of notable AI models are developed in high-income countries. 86% of AI startups originate there. 91% of venture capital funding goes to wealthy regions, despite those regions representing only about 17% of the global population. This isn't just a tech story, it's an economic division. Developed countries build the tools. Developing countries often consume them. Many African, Southeast Asian, and Latin American regions lack basic compute infrastructure. Reliable power, or affordable internet, all prerequisites for AI. Even when adoption grows, barriers remain. Small blue diamond language limitations. Most AI models are trained in major languages. Small blue diamond high subscription costs for enterprise tools. Small blue diamond lack of local data and policy support. This systemic imbalance turns AI from a universal opportunity into a stratified advantage. Enterprise AI economic inequality. AI does not distribute itself equally. It flows where capital already exists. In 2026, over 70% of enterprise AI spending comes from fewer than 10 countries, overwhelmingly high-income economies. The majority of AI value creation happens inside large corporations with existing infrastructure, data, and compute contracts. A single Fortune 500 company can spend tens of millions of dollars per year on cloud compute alone, something impossible for most startups, let alone developing nations' institutions. This creates a silent economic reality. AI does not replace labor evenly. It replaces cheap labor first. Manufacturing optimization, call center automation. Logistics AI. These disproportionately impact countries whose competitive advantage was labor cost, not capital. So while enterprises in developed economies gain efficiency, speed, and scale, developing economies face shrinking margins and fewer pathways to climb the value chain. The result? A widening gap where productivity increases, but prosperity concentrates. Platforms as economic gatekeepers. In the past, economies were shaped by trade routes. Today, they are shaped by platform access. Cloud providers, AI API vendors, and digital marketplaces act as gatekeepers. They decide pricing models, access limits, compliance requirements, data residency rules. A startup in Lagos or Dhaka may rely on the same cloud platforms as a company in San Francisco, but the cost structure, latency, and regulatory friction are not the same. When platforms change pricing or policy, entire ecosystems feel it instantly. This is economic power without territory. No invasion. No sanctions. Just infrastructure dependency. Ask yourself if your economy runs on someone else's platform. Who really holds leverage? Why borders matter less than systems. AI power ignores borders because data ignores borders. An algorithm trained in California can influence hiring decisions in Kenya. A recommendation system optimized in Europe can shape consumption patterns in Southeast Asia. What matters is not where you are, but which systems you are plugged into. Cloud infrastructure, payment rails, identity systems. And AI models form a parallel world map, one invisible to most people. And unlike borders, this map changes constantly. Power belongs to those who own the infrastructure, control the standards, define the defaults. Borders regulate people. Systems regulate behavior. Case study: India. Scale without control. India produces more software engineers than any country in the world. Yet most large-scale AI models used in India are trained elsewhere, hosted elsewhere, and monetized elsewhere. India generates massive data volumes, from payments, commerce, healthcare, and mobility. But the compute and model ownership often remain offshore. This creates a paradox. Data richness without infrastructure sovereignty. The country scales users, not platforms. Value flows upward. Case study: Africa. Consumption versus creation. Africa represents over 17% of the global population, yet accounts for less than 2% of global AI investment. AI adoption is growing rapidly, especially in fintech, agriculture, and health. But infrastructure gaps remain severe: limited data centers, high cloud costs, unreliable power grids. Most AI tools are imported, not built locally. This means dependency, not autonomy. AI becomes something used, not shaped. Case study: Latin America. The middle trap. Latin America sits between promise and constraint. Strong talent pools, growing startups, increasing AI adoption, but chronic underinvestment in infrastructure. Many companies rely heavily on US-based platforms, creating exposure to currency risk, pricing volatility, and policy changes. The region advances, but slowly, always catching up, rarely leading. The compounding effect: AI advantage compounds. Those with early access automate faster, learn faster, reinvest gains, pull further ahead. Those without remain manual, fall behind on speed, lose competitiveness. This is not linear inequality. It is exponential. By 2030, projections suggest AI could add $15 to $20 trillion to global GDP. But the majority of gains are expected to accrue to advanced economies and capital-rich enterprises. The system rewards those already inside. 2030 projection: a two-speed world. By 2030, the world may divide not by income, but by augmentation. Augmented economies, AI-driven decision systems, autonomous logistics, predictive governance. Unaugmented economies, manual processes, slower growth, external dependency. The danger isn't exclusion, it's irrelevance. The real question, so ask yourself, who owns the infrastructure shaping your future? Who trains the models you rely on? Who profits from your data? Who sets the defaults? Because power today is not seized, it is embedded. This is not an anti-technology story. AI is not the enemy, but ignorance is. If systems shape reality, then understanding systems is survival. If this documentary expanded your view, if it made you uncomfortable, if it changed how you see power, subscribe. Because the next documentaries go deeper. Like this video so others see what's coming. And comment where you're watching from. The global map matters. The new power map is already drawn. Most people just haven't looked at it yet.